Good evening, viewers. This is an audio read. It's from Healthline. Bipolar disorder is a confusing condition, especially for someone viewing it from the outside. If you have a friend or relative living with a bipolar disorder, this person may be reluctant to share how they feel, because this can make it hard to know how the illness affects them. Reading firsthand accounts of people living with bipolar disorder can help you understand the condition from their perspective. To outsiders looking in, bipolar comes in many forms. During these emotional highs, your friend or relative may become full of energy and overly excited about life. Mania can be mild, moderate, or severe, so you may not always link their happiness and elation with a mood disorder. Sometimes all you see is a fun, optimistic, and upbeat person, the life of the party. But other times you may notice erratic behaviors with their joyful mood. This person may become more talkative, they may speak fast or come off as impulsive, and while this might be confusing, it can be a great time for people living with bipolar disorder. The best description is from a young man. The best part of mania is that I'm so optimistic about everything. You could crash a car through my house and I'd reply, "What a great time to build something new." I'm my most creative during this process, so I'm doing as much as possible to capitalize on it. Artistic or constructive, I'm up for anything. Every morning I wake up ready to go. Even if I didn't get much sleep, I don't really need much sleep. I see all my friends, have a blast, and get everything done on my to-do list. Unfortunately, this is where I go out more, spend all my money, drink too much. I've been in a few fistfights during my mania, but it's not because I was really angry. Getting into a fight at a bar with some dude twice my size is exhilarating. I know it's destructive, but it's the greatest form of entertainment because it's raw and dangerous. I've yet to be seriously hurt in one of these fights, so I keep escalating it each time. It's like a game to me. Tonight we're going to speak with a young woman, Anne Edwards, who is the daughter of the famous Robert Owen Edwards, and I am proud to bring her on. Audience, please stand by. Put up lots of heart, love, support, like, #replay for Anne Edwards. This is her first podcast from Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anne Edwards, and I'm coming this evening for a number of reasons. The first reason is that I'm very concerned about healthcare in our country, in our province, particularly here because I live in Nova Scotia. So I was given this platform to discuss my journey. I actually have two disorders. I have a personality disorder, which was not mentioned. I also have bipolar. So it's kind of like two things going at the same time. And 1 minute I'm happy, then I'm sad, then I'm crying, then I'm, running a company. So it's right crazy. So what I wanted to do this evening was give you an indication of what I've been going through in the last year. I was homeless for 10 months, living in my car. I didn't qualify for social assistance because I was living in my car and you need to have a permanent address. So I spent the summer basically trying to get jobs and then losing the jobs because I didn't have a place to shower. I used to shower in the lake in Dartmouth, and just the journey itself, dealing with the police in situations where I felt that I was being criminalized because I suffered from a mental illness. I mean, I can go into a lot of stories and a lot of scenarios, but the bottom line is that without addressing poverty, you're not going to be able to eradicate mental illness. I'll use New Zealand as an example. 1.3 billion, the prime minister said that she wants to allocate towards mindfulness, and instead of putting the money into the military, she's putting it into the people that are most vulnerable, which are our youth, from 3 to 13. They're very anxious. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of suicide, and there's a lot of distress. Meanwhile, in our province, we were considering, and I don't know if it went through, correct me if I'm wrong, but we were $500,000 for an armored vehicle that would be threatening. What I've noticed is that some of the resources that they say are available, they aren't. When you go to the hospital, I was told to go to the hospital, and I said, well, I live in Dartmouth, it's in Halifax, how am I going to get home? They said, well, just take the bus or walk. I said, I'm psychotic. I can't get on a bus. I can't walk home. And they said, well, that's your problem. So the situation is that we need to come to an understanding that we've been talking about mental health. Hi, Helen King. Thank you for speaking the truth. Thank you very much. You're welcome. No, we need to address this on a level where we need action. I mean, you look in the streets, people are homeless. It's not their fault. Or is it their fault? I mean, everybody wants to blame other people, but at the end of the story, I never thought I was going to be homeless. In fact, when I first moved to Halifax, I was sexually assaulted and put in the shelter at Absent House for women. And I spent, 4 months digging myself out. I finally got into a place. I got into Pinecrest, and there were pharaoh ants and rats and mice, and I complained, and they evicted me. I learned how to use the judicial system because I feel it's very important to advocate for yourself. And I appealed, and I still lost. So I moved over to Adelaide. He threw me out on the street, turned the locks, turned the power, turned the water, and I was living in my car. So it was the first night. It was actually June 24th that I was homeless, sitting in my car outside my house. My stuff was inside. He locked me out. Here I am. And then all of a sudden, bang, 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 bang on the window. Who's that? And he said, it's the police. And I said, well, I'm not rolling down my window. You'll try to take my keys, or you'll try to take my cell phone. And so I had the window down just a little bit. So if you ever get pulled over, there's a tip. Don't roll it down all the way. So anyway, he said, you can't stay here. You're parking, and I own the street. It's municipal, and I own the street. I said, so you're a police officer, and you own the street too? And he said, yes. And I said, well, geez, isn't that great? I said, but my stuff is in there. I don't have there's no designated homeless parking spots other than Walmart. And he said, no, you're going to have to leave. He opened the door. I slammed the door before he could grab my keys and grab my cell phone. And then he started bang, 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 banging on the window. And I'm going, oh my God, this, like, really? Are you for real? And then he said, you're mentally ill. You need your medication. And if you don't get your medication, you're going to not be good. You're mentally ill. And he started chanting that. And I was like, are you for real? So and then I drove away. I swore at him, and I said something not very nice, and I can't really talk about it right here, but you can inbox me later. Anyway, he just, it was unbelievable. And then I moved on from there to the streets, and I used to park down at the waterfront, and then they would come around 3 a.m. and wake me up. And this is when I turned to Jesus. I actually turned to God, and I sat on the other side of my car because I couldn't pull my seat back because all my belongings were in there because I was homeless. So I sat there at the dash, and I just prayed. I prayed for 1 hour, 2, 3 hours. And I said, like my friend Leanne said, trust in Jesus. Trust in Jesus. Keep going and stay positive. Keep going and stay positive. And that's all the thing, as I was homeless. And then social assistants put me in my car. It was 35-degree heat with no food, no water, and no money, and left me there for 5 days. Said, "We're not going to help you, put you in a hotel. You're going to have to stay. You're being punished because you were rude to the person at the desk." And they said that you're not allowed to stay in the hotel anymore. And I pleaded and I cried. I said, "Please, please don't put me in the heat. I'm not a dog." And they said, "No, you're going in the car." And I did. I was in the car. Not once, but most of the summer, I spent my time in the car because they would not help me. And then I got into another situation. She stole my damage deposit and my rent, and I was homeless. I was so sick one night. I was at the shelter because she kicked me out, and I threw up, and I had no clothes to change into because she stole them. So it's just one thing after another, and when you try to explain what's going on to caregivers, to the health professionals, they don't listen. They say, "Well, you're mentally ill, you don't really have a say." And I said, "Well, why don't I have a say?" And they said, "Well, you're mentally ill, it's your fault, you're mentally ill." And I said, "Well, what about you? I mean, I'm not a criminal, and here I am homeless, yet they keep all my stuff and I can't get it." "Well, it's a tenancy board issue." "Well, why is it a tenancy board issue when they stole my medication, which I need, obviously, and they stole all my belongings, but I have to wait for small claims court?" I just don't understand why people with mental illness are being criminalized. We're being criminalized, and we're not given the opportunity to be who we are, the way we are. For instance, if you were with me and I said, "You know what you should do? You take your brain, you put your brain in my brain, and then you ask how. How is this happening? What is going on? Why is she acting this way?" And then you might start to understand it. I was married to a police officer actually for 17 years. He mentally abused me. He took my son away when he was 5, and I ended up in poverty for 8 years, $840 a month on social assistance, while he made $68,000 a year. Having said that, because of my illnesses, my ex-husband would say, "Snap out of it." Well, if any of you out there have anxiety or depression or PSTD, there's a range of different scenarios. You can't snap out of it. You can't snap out of it. It's just your makeup. It's not like cancer. You can find a cure. Hopefully, you have a mental illness. Actually, out of all the mental illnesses, I guess I get the prize because I have both that are the worst, the severest. Anyway, I feel I am blessed because I love doing stand-up. I love making people laugh. I try to cope the best I can, but I still find, I'm going to get back to this, I still find the resources aren't there for people that are in distress. If you're in a situation and you need to talk to somebody, you don't need to be put on hold. You don't need to be a number. You don't need to wait until somebody contacts you. If they do, you need help now. And what I'm wanting to do is have an intervention type mechanism with support for people that, really need to talk, and they're afraid because nobody's listening. They don't care. Nobody cares about me. And you get the negative talk. And I've done that myself because of the personality disorder. But being homeless has taught me gratitude, humility, understanding, and compassion. And what I'd like to do is be able to have the momentum that we need to address this as a collective body. For instance, we know that there's a lot of distress in the U.S. right now, and what happened in the news and everything. I have a suggestion. What I recommend is that if you have a police officer and he has a call, right away you tag your medical health worker, and they come along. It's a ride along. So they don't go to any scenes without this person, because what happens in these situations is what we're seeing time and time again, is that the person is in distress. They're mentally in crisis. And the next thing, they're tasered and they're dead. Well, how did they go from being in crisis to a mental health issue to the obituaries? I don't understand. It shouldn't happen. Not if we had the mechanisms in place to support the police. Obviously, the police need help. Okay, not only the police, everybody else. I'm not banging the police just because I was with one. It's just that in my experience, I mean, I was told I was going to go to the NS every time they arrested me. My parking tickets all of a sudden went up from 2 to 9, and $960 worth of parking tickets. And the other thing I talk about is advocacy. I went to court and I said, listen, Judge, I'm homeless. I can't afford $965. My license is coming up, and that's my independence. And actually, it was my home. I said, I need a break here. And they gave $700 discount. What happens to a lot of people that are poor or homeless or in situations that they don't understand or how to navigate the system is they end up not trying to get assistance, or not fighting for that rent that was taken, or the damage deposit, or maybe the help that you need through the professionals and things like that. I don't know. I just don't feel right in the fact that in 2020 we're still talking about this when, Bell Let's Talk. Like, really? I worked for Bell, and they fired me. They said that I was mentally ill, and they wouldn't keep me. And I said, well, will you accommodate me if I go to my psychiatrist and get a plan so that I can, do the test? I was in psychosis, and I was doing a test every day. I mean, I don't even know how I got past it, but I did. But they said, no. Chronicle Herald, you're not the right fit. You're mentally ill. They even phoned the police on me and said that I threatened to jump off a bridge. And I said, you know how you say, oh, go jump off a bridge. That's what I meant. It wasn't literally, I'm going to jump off a bridge. Next thing I know, I'm at the library at the North End. The cops come in and they said, are you Ann Edwards? And I said, well, it depends. I really didn't want to tell them. Yes, I am. Next thing I know, I'm handcuffed, going to the hospital to be assessed because the doctor phoned, and not the doctor, but the Chronicle Herald phoned and said that I was going to jump off a bridge. And I said, well, can you at least give me a chance to explain? No, you're mentally ill. You don't have a say. If you want to say anything and you choose to be disruptive, we'll just take you to the NS and admit you. I said, really? I said, well, are you a psychiatrist? And they said, no. I said, well, you can't do that. Only a psychiatrist can admit me, and I'm not admittable. And all through my 10 months of homelessness, I was told that I was going to be put in the NS. I don't know. It just baffles me how the police can have so much power. For instance, my son just graduated from St. Mary's last year in criminology. I moved here from Edmonton to see my son graduate. And the night before graduation, my ex-husband and I had an altercation at the house, his residence, last year on my birthday, April 3rd, to see my son. And the sergeant sat in the house and he said, Peter's been talking to us, and he feels that it's not a good idea for you to come to graduation. If you come, we will have you arrested and put in jail. And I said, so if I understand you correctly, if I go to graduation, which I have a ticket waiting. My son gave me one. I saw him like yesterday as we were passing by. We never see each other. And that I'm going to be arrested. Yep. And also, here's the results of the charge you put against Mr. Peter Waldorf from the Halifax Police Department. You had that he bullied you. He came in your car. He threatened you. He called the police, tried to have you arrested because you were married to him. And because you were married, this is the key, because you were married to him, and we cannot press charges. Even though he was off duty, he is still representing the police department to serve and protect. I just forgot what I was going to say. Sorry. Just about graduation. So I never got to go. And then they said, I can't press charges because I was married to him. There's a law. I don't know if you guys know about it, but Google it. There's a law in Nova Scotia, if you didn't know, if you were married to a police officer and you had a domestic or an altercation or some kind of trouble, that you can't press charges in Nova Scotia. I said, really, Sergeant? Is that the truth? I said, I don't know. My background is I used to be a television news reporter. I like to know the facts. And I've never heard that. He goes, yep, yep, yep. Otherwise, he would have been charged, Miss Edwards, because he, in fact, threatened and bullied you. In fact, he's done it, as you said, for the last 22 years. What we're recommending, don't contact your son. Don't go near your son for at least 2 years. And I said, so you're telling me how to have a relationship with my son? And he said, yep, yep. Peter and Nicholas said, it's great. They really like you. You're a great girl. But needless to say, I did not go to the graduation. And that was one of the moments, as you know, graduation is coming up, and I want to congratulate all the graduates for 2020. It's been a roller coaster of a year. And I just wanted to congratulate everybody for staying strong. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is that I want to give back. I really do. I think it's so important to have gratitude and humility for what you have, and to have a purpose. And I never knew my purpose before that. My background is sales and marketing, hardcore, and I like making money, and I like spending money. But as in the eyes of God, I mean, it's gluttony, and you shouldn't really be focusing on that. So I've kind of shifted with the pandemic in that I want to give back and I want to help people. I mean, if there's anybody out there that this resonates with you and you need to talk, then just don't feel you're alone. I mean, just don't feel you're not alone, even when you are, okay? Because I know, even when you are alone, you're not alone, okay? Because God is watching for you and for me, and that's the only way I got through this. Once again, I'll have to say that. I just can't believe it. So, getting back, my father was a concert pianist, not penis. Oh, should I say that on the air? Anyway, he was a professor of music at the Royal Academy of Music in London, and he actually was a concert pianist. And he traveled around the world adjudicating. And I remember one time he came back from Africa and he gave me a giraffe. And I was like 2. And I ran out of the room because the giraffe was taller than me. It was funny. I never did see that toy again. Anyway, and we had a butler, a chauffeur, a nanny, a gardener. I mean, he was a professor of music at the Royal Academy of Music in London, England. So he took his young family in 1967 to England. No, we're already in England. To Canada, to St. John, New Brunswick, where he was the music teacher. And this is where it gets exciting. Not only was he the music teacher, but I was a little girl. I was like 5. And he said, I was in the plays, Brigadoon, Carousel, Oklahoma, My Fair Lady, Annie Get Your Gun, West Side Story, like all those plays. He was in the pit, with the conductor, and he could play every instrument. So in 1972, he did a piano recital, and this is the exciting part. He did the piano recital at Wolfville, Acadia University. Everybody know Acadia? Yeah. Amen. Axeman go. Anyway, he did this recital, and through all my strife, through all my homelessness, I carried this little brown package of my father's music. And throughout the years, I said, I'm going to get this music done. I'm going to transfer it, and I'm going to share it with the world. And I'm going to, give the gift of music. And I just got it transferred, and I have the digital copy of my father's music. Now, it's a little, shaky because it is an older version of reel-to-reel and cassette. However, the meaning is there. I mean, you can actually hear him play and hit the ivories. And a lot of people say to me, Anne, did your father teach you how to play the piano? And I said, you know what? I asked my father, I pleaded with my father to teach me how to play the piano because he was really good. And I thought, I could be good too. Not a chance. You're tone deaf, Anne. I have perfect pitch. There's just no way I'm going to teach you. I said, Dad, even just a scale something. And he said, nope, you're tone deaf. Forget it. Not going to happen. And I never did learn how to play the piano, LOL. Anyway, what I wanted to share with you is what I'm doing is I do stand up improv. I like to make people laugh. I'm kind of like it's kind of like I'm on Tourette's or something, because things just come in my mind and really quickly and things like that. And what I want to do is invite people with mental illness or no whatever, to come on my show, and we can do some stand up, have a few laughs. It would be really a fun and entertaining evening. And with my father's music, what I would like to do, I call it the secret manuscript. And what I would like to do is take the music, and then people from St. John High, the alumnus, the people that were in the Atlantic Symphony Orchestra with my father as the conductor, the Arts Council. He's in the history book of St. John. I mean, he was just so funny too. Like, he was British, right? The biggest joke about my dad was that in the 70s they used to smoke, and they used to smoke Rothmans. I don't know if anybody's remembered the Rothmans, the long cigarettes. Well, he'd be in the class and he'd be smoking, and the big joke in the classroom would be, when will the ash fall on his tie? So they had like a little contest to see when that would happen. So he'd walk around in the school with it like a smudge mark of ash from the droppings all day. So that was funny. So what I want to do is engage with people that remember my father, and share some memories about St. John High School. I know Steve Murphy was a student at St. John High School when my father was the music director. And I remember one day, because I was sitting in the audience, and Steve comes in and my father goes, "Mr. Murphy, you're late." And he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Edwards. I was running late, blah, blah, blah." "Well, it's unacceptable. You're out of the play." And he tossed him out of the play. So every time I talk to Steve, which isn't a lot, of course, I mean, he's a busy man, and I mention my father kicked you out of the play, LOL. And what I want to do with the music is offer it, and then people can think about how we can get some donations going for the people that do the stand up on my channel, and do kind of like a scholarship program for somebody that comes on. And then we would have a criteria, of course, and then we would offer this opportunity. So that's exciting. That's really exciting. Gift of my father's music, to give the gift. And that's what it's all about. It's all about giving. It's all about giving, and it's all about caring for one another. There's just too much going on that we should be mean to each other. And I've noticed everybody keeps saying, "Well, that's my opinion." We used never to say that. We used to just say it straight up. If you didn't like it, oh well. But now it's like it comes with a disclaimer. Actually, I come with a disclaimer too. I should have a warning label sometimes for my actions. I mean, my behavior's been so erratic. I mean, well, for instance, when I was living with my ex-husband, one day he came home. We lived in Greenwich, and he came home, and parking, the driveway's kind of full. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I went shopping." And he goes, "So you bought those two vehicles?" It was a Altima and an Exterior, $70,000 in 1 week. I was in mania, and I went shopping. So he came home, and there were the cars in the driveway. And another time, he came home again. Maybe he shouldn't come home. Just kidding. LOL. He came home again, and I had the carpenters out making the deck to put the hot tub in. And I remember Nicholas saying to me, "Mom, does Dad know that you're doing this?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "What do you think he's going to say?" And I said, "I don't know." But I found out I didn't get the hot tub, and I gave back the cars. LOL. I thank everybody for joining this evening. It means a lot to me that you would take the time out to learn more about bipolar. How I ended up with bipolar and personality disorder. I got pregnant, and I got postpartum. Back in the day, this would have been 1996. Back in the day, they didn't really know about postpartum. I remember standing over the crib with my son, and he would have been 8 or 9 months. And my husband, Peter Waldorf, looked at me and he said, "How can you not love your son?" And I remember looking at him and saying, It's not that I don't love him. It's that I don't know how to love him because I'm ill. And he never would accept that. He never would accept the fact that it's not that I didn't love him. Of course I love him. But that's what happened there. And then I went to a psychiatrist, and he said I had depression, postpartum depression, bipolar, and personality disorder. And I remember leaving the psychiatrist's office that was in Canning, Dr. Garvey, he's now gone. And I was confused. Like, I had so many things wrong with me, and I was depressed, and I was suicidal, and I didn't know what to do. Like, to share this with the person I love, and trying to take care of my baby when he worked shift work, and I was alone for hours and hours and did I say hours? Hours and hours at a time was very hard on me. And at 5 years old, he took my son and divorced me and left me in poverty. So from going from two incomes, a house, my son, to living by myself. I said to my friend Heather Miles, I said, Heather, what am I going to do? I said, I don't know how to cook. I said, I don't know how to take care of myself. I mean, like, I was 17 years, I was married, and, and she said, you'll get through it. You'll get through it. And, I am. Some days are better than others. I'm not going to say they aren't. But what hurts the most with this illness is that some people say, Anne, did you have it when you were younger? And it's like, I don't know. Like, maybe when I threw the vase at my friend, that was an indication that I had a little bit of a temper problem. I don't know. What do you think? But I don't know. I really don't know. I think it was having the baby, and having the diagnosis, and being in poverty, and not being able to fight for my son. And what ended up happening is my ex-husband, Peter Waldorf, he threatened me a lot, and said, if you don't sign and change his name was Nicholas Robert Edwards Waldorf, after my father's, to, the legacy, let it continue. And he wanted me to change the name to Nicholas Edwards. He said, there's no reason. And yeah, I lost that fight too. But what I'm learning about myself through my spirituality, and I'm learning that people really don't care. Okay, you think they do, and they say they do, but they're busy, or they got their lives, or they got and being 10 months in homelessness, and then in isolation, to be alone with your thoughts when you have two mental illnesses, it's like Jekyll and Hyde. It's just crazy. I just said to my friend Leanne, like, I don't even know what's going on with me. And of course, I went off my medication because I couldn't afford it. It was $200 a month. So last October, I went off my medication. Then I tried to get back on my medication in January, and I'm still struggling with the cocktail, not a drink, cocktail with the meds to get the right balance, because that's really important. And what I've noticed is I can't go off my medication. If you take medication, some people say, well, you can do it with weed, and you can dull it, and you can do this and that. No, you can't. You need your medication. If you're prescribed it, and you have mood disorders, or you have anxiety, or even high blood pressure, you need to have your meds, and you need to take them. And that's very, very important. The situation that I'm in is that during the pandemic, they wanted me to live. I was in a hotel at the time, the Commons Inn. They wanted me to live in Prospect. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think it's on the bus route, and I don't have a lot of money for gas, and I'm homeless, living in a hotel room, and I can't afford to go back and forth when I have all these psychiatrist appointments and doctor's appointments. So I refused. And the worker at Elizabeth Fry, Dawn Corcoran, was my worker. She helped get me a subsidy before she told social assistants that I refused to look for a place, and they put me in my car again during the pandemic. So it's a Friday afternoon, the pandemic's blown up, and I'm at my MLA's office, Susan LeBlanc's, and her administrative assistant is there, and she says, "No, we can't do anything for you, Anne. They've decided that it's best that you just live in your car." And I said, "Well, it's a pandemic. It's against the law to live in your car. It's a hazard. It's dangerous. It's not safe." And she said, "Nope, nope, nope. It's 4 o'clock. I got to go home and watch Dr. Phil. I'm sorry. I can't do anything for you. And if you don't stop crying, I'm going to call the police and have you escorted out of this office." And I said, "I just know I can't vote for the NDP because now I have to live in my car." So I went out and I was bawling. I just lost it. What? I said, "No, I don't, why? Like, again, I'm in my car. It's a pandemic. What am I going to do?" And then the next day I went to the pawn shop to try to get $20 to get something to eat. I sold my laptop for $20. I didn't care. I just needed some money. You know, when you need money. And they said, "Anne, you can't live in your car during the pandemic." And I said, "Well, social assistants put me out. They said they won't help me. They won't give me a hotel room anymore. That I was a bad girl and I didn't look for places. And I have all these lists and emails and I sent them all to them showing that I was looking. And she had lied about my situation. And I just don't know what to do." So I went around. Actually, I ended up going online and I found this guy, and he lived in Halifax. I didn't know him. I just met him online. So I said, "Listen, this is the situation. I'm in a hotel. I'm in my car and I need a place to stay." I said, "I'm homeless. I don't know what to do." He said, "You can come stay with me. You don't have to pay any rent. You can stay here until you get a place." Then the pandemic, of course, is going on, and they're talking about the CERB, and they're talking about this and that. And he said to me, I did get some money from social assistance. I put in the blue form, and he said to me, "Anne, I'm really like, I really like you. Like, I'm really." He was into me. I don't know why, but he was into me. And I said, "Well, listen," I said, "You're not wearing a shirt. You look like Buddha. You got hair all over you. You got hair in the front, hair in the back." I said, "At least get a trim." No, LOL, I'm just kidding. At least, no. I said, "No." I said, "I'll find a place." I said, and he goes, "Well, if you don't give me some money, you're going to have sex with me." So I just turned 57, April 3rd. So now I was being asked to have sex in order to stay somewhere. So I called my worker. At this time, I had driven by Creighton Street. I found an ad in the window. Bachelor, $650. I got it. And then I went back to him and said, "No, I have a place to live." So I spoke to the person at social assistance, and they said, "Well, you got that money and now you want more money." And I said, "Well, I didn't get the money because I didn't get it because he wanted to have sex with me and I didn't want to have sex." "Well, that's your problem." I said, "Pardon me?" He goes, "Yeah, that's your problem. Whether you choose to do whatever you want to do, but that is your problem. And we're going to charge you for the money that we give you, we gave you, and you don't have to pay any of it back till August because we put a hold on the overpayments. Unless you get an email from the Minister of Social Services, will we not charge you the amount." And it's not the amount. I don't care whether it's $15 or $20 a month. That's not the point. The point was that I was being put in a situation like the sex trade. And there was another instance where I was homeless and I met this guy. He was, I would have to say, Aboriginal, First Nations. And he said to me, "You either, cough it up or get out." And I said, "Well, can you just wait till the morning? I won't come back," and I was going to move what little I had there. And it was just a mess. So if you don't think it can happen to you, it can happen to you. And that's what I felt throughout this journey. At one point, going to church on Saturdays, we have a service. It's called Kea, and it's Come As You Are. And just to listen to the music and sort of get out with people, because when you're homeless, what I've noticed is you find out your true friends, because some will help and some will ignore, and some will blame. And when you're in that situation and you are mentally ill at the same time, you don't need to be blamed for anything. And when you cry out for help for 10 months, and really not a lot of people help me. Maybe because I was off the wall a little bit, because I was in psychosis and mania and depression, and I hadn't eaten. Maybe I was told by social services I had to wait 21 days to eat. And that kind of puts you in a tailspin. And hi, Kevin Moore. I'm not ignoring everybody. I'm just trying to concentrate because I have a little bit of trauma from what happened to me. And sometimes I forget my train of thought because of the trauma, but I'm working through it. The good news is that I do go to a bipolar group on Thursday nights on Kennard, and there's one on Monday nights at the hospital as well that I would like to attend. I think you have to be your own advocate. I think you really have to go after the resources, and you really have to give a check into what is it that you want to show other people about yourself. Like, I don't want to show people that I swear all the time and I get mad and I lose my temper and I have no patience. I want to show the good Anne. I want to show the Anne that has patience and joy and laughter and wants to help people. Now that I have a home, I have a chance to do that. And what I'm asking is, if this resonates, like I said that word earlier, if this resonates with you, if you're struggling, if you need to talk, I mean, you can get a hold of me. You can get a hold of your doctor. The other thing is, I don't have a doctor. So I phoned up the other day. They had sent me from the Penn Horn Clinic an invitation, a form to fill out to come and see a female doctor. I wanted a female doctor. After 4 years, I'm getting my female doctor. So I phoned up and I said, well, it's a pandemic. I said, I don't know how I'm going to print this form off. I got them to print it off, and somebody took the information. And what would you suggest? Is there another way, to the receptionist? Is there another way to come in, fill out the form, and see the doctor? No. You got to have it in by next Thursday, which was last Thursday. You got to have it in. And if you don't have it in, there's lots of other people that want to see this doctor. You're not the only one. So if you don't get the form in, you are not going to see the doctor. And I said, I'm suicidal. I said, I need to see a doctor. I need to talk to a doctor. I need help. I said, I'm not doing well. This is why I'm calling. I really need to see a doctor. No, you're being rude. No, I'm not. You're triggering me. You're triggering me because you're saying you can't help me. You won't help me. And you know I'm in distress. And I told you that. I told you I'm unfiltered. I told you what happened. I told you that I'm in distress. I told you I'm suicidal. She goes, I'm going to hang up on you. And I said, no, you're not. Click. And then I phoned my lawyer, and she said, no. Physicians and surgeons, we're going to get a hold of them. We're going to talk to the doctor. Actually, my friend Leanne from church, she actually sent correspondence to the doctor through email. I don't know what's happened through that yet. I'll give you an update. But man, and that's not the only doctor. The other one said I had too much documentation. Well, I've had bipolar and personality disorder for 22 years. You think I have some documentation? I would hope so. But it's too much. It's too much for them. They don't want to do it. So there lies the problem. That if you don't have a system that is designed the way to meet the needs of those that are in distress, then it's broken. And if it's broken and you don't fix it, it's not going to get repaired, is it? And that's my concern, why after all these years, I mean, I've traveled the world. I've went to Australia, New Zealand, Fiji. I've been to Europe, Canada, the US. And I look at other countries and I see what they're doing, for mental health. And we didn't get that seat, did we? No. And why didn't we get the seat? We got the worst marks ever because we don't stand up to other countries in what they're doing to help citizens with their mental illness. And it's just terrible. I mean, I look at what happened to me for my history of employment. Once they found out, and they did, trust me, because I had trouble doing some tasks because of the learning. I learned differently. I learned through writing down and visualization, and it just didn't work. And once they found out that I was mentally ill, no, sorry, you don't fit in, or you're mentally ill. Back then they could say it. You're mentally ill. No, it's not going to work. So it made it really difficult to get out of poverty because I was mentally ill, and because I had like a gig set up where I could work a few months, get my EI, and then sort of push it through. But I don't want to do that anymore. I want to face what's wrong with my mental health, and I want to at the same time embrace people that want change and action. And I'm an action person. You can ask anybody, like, you, if you want something done, ask me. I get it done, and I get it done right the first time. It's very important. It's like my father said to me, and if you don't do anything else, get your education, get your education. And I did. I mean, I went to university. I got a BA in English from Dalhousie, in political science, a radio broadcasting diploma, and a diploma in international business and marketing. So what? Doesn't matter. I was homeless. Didn't matter how many credentials or where I used to live or what I used to do. As I walked up the steps to Absent House back in 2017, January 7th, I realized as I walked up the steps, I was homeless. As they opened the door and took my bags, I was homeless. And for the first time in my life, I was really felt alone. I tried to reach out to my family. They ignore me. My ex-husband used to say, "You're mentally ill," to my son, and I have no purpose in life. I don't contribute to society. And basically, he said I was a piece of shit to my son for 22 years. And, well, not 22 because he was a little boy at the beginning, but I'm just saying. So I was in that situation, and what got me through it was the camaraderie of the girls that were in the shelter. We used to sing songs. I used to sing Shelter Girls. Shelter Girls, Shelter Girls, does whatever a shelter can, just like Spider-Man spins a web. And we used to get up in the morning and sing Shelter Girls, and we used to go about our business, and I used to go to the coffee shop and, look for work and things like that. And I dug my way out, and then bang, 10 months in poverty again. Why is this happening? Because the housing prices are too high, the wages are too low. We just went through a pandemic, and we don't have the leadership to make the decisions that are needed right away to make the changes that people want. Why do you think people are protesting? They're tired of their loved ones dying from suicide. I just had 3 friends die, and I said, that's enough. We need to help everybody. So with this channel that I'm going to do, the Stand Up for Mental Health, they can come on and, if they're, like, say, for instance, we don't want labels or stigma anymore. My name is Ann Edwards. My name isn't Ann Edwards bipolar personality disorder, nor is your name whatever it is with a hashtag or a label. So what I'm trying to do is just have a few laughs, listen to some music, enjoy yourselves, have joy. And I really am concerned the way they treat people that are in poverty and that are mentally ill, that are already, I'm not going to use the word struggling because it's beyond struggling. I mean, do you have Kraft dinner or do you have tomato soup? That's the choice. Do you eat today or do you wait? Do you buy a pack of smokes or do you get liquor? Do you smoke weed or do you do drugs? Like, whatever your choice is. I don't know what it is, and it's none of my business. But I'm just saying, if the liquor store is an essential service now, why isn't mental health an essential service? Why don't we have, like, when I was sitting here, I was alone and I'd become very isolated, and I'm an extrovert. My friend Leanne, she's an introvert. She's so happy to go home and watch watch TV. She's curled up on her bed, and I'm like, I'm going to stores, going in there, talking to people, and doing stand up just to get a piece of pizza and a pop to entertain them. I do the circuit. I go to Tony's, and I go to Pizza Corner, and I have some fun with them. They love it. They love me coming by just to tell them that, to make them laugh. And tell a joke. Leanne wants me to tell a joke. You would say that, wouldn't you? Okay. Can I say? I don't know. I'm not going to say my worst joke. That would be not good. I don't know. I used to be a doctor, but I have no patience. LOL. That's one for this show. But I really don't tell jokes. I just kind of make it up as I go, Leanne. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm more spontaneous. But I do love making people laugh. When I was a television news reporter and I was living in St. John, I went home to see my mom, and this is a couple of years before she died. And my show, the show was coming on. It was MITV in St. John, New Brunswick, and it came on in the living room, and my mom was dancing around the living room. She goes, you're on TV, you're on TV. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And she was right happy, and I was right happy. And it was just a great time. And then I was engaged to be married. And actually, I did the right thing. I got engaged, and then the next day I flew out to Toronto for 2 years. What does that tell you? Really? So I ended up in Toronto working for DeVry Institutes of Technology. And that was a great job, excuse me. But I guess the whole point of this is that I never thought something like this would change the way I think about God. Because in the moment when it was happening, if I didn't focus and trust in Jesus, okay, I would not be here. Because remember, I had a car. If I didn't have a car, I would have been in a ditch. And nobody would help me. They told me to call the crisis unit once. I've been waiting 1.5 years. Did I miss something? Did they show up and not tell me? Like, I don't know. I'm more than willing to put together a strategy to help guide us towards a better understanding for frontline people that deal with people that have mental health issues. The last thing we need to be told is that I can't help you. I can't help you. Kevin says, if they fix or better your situation, mental health will no longer enable the psychologist and the psychiatrist to build a third wing on their summer homes. There you go. Yeah, I mean, it's very important to go fishing. But at the same time, it's very important that you listen to what I have to say. If we don't take care of our children in mental health through mindfulness and connection and respect, we won't have a generation to take care of. They're very upset right now. They didn't get to see their friends, and now they have to do virtual this and virtual that. It's very disconnecting not being able to hug somebody or high five or shake. Everything's, like this, right? It's changed. And I don't know. I'm fearful if we don't do something. I mean, you can study it to death. You can read about it. I can give you statistics. It doesn't matter. What matters is the person on the phone that phones up and says, I'm going to kill myself. I need help. Wait a minute. I'll put you on hold. Well, I'm going to kill myself. Well, wait a minute. I'll put you on hold. Or better yet, can you call back? Well, like that happens. I mean, it's happened to me. I remember one night I was drinking, and I phoned them about 2 or 3 in the morning, and they said, well, once you're sober up, go to the hospital. And it's like, you need to go within the next 24 to 48 hours. Where's the intervention? Like if I'm suicide, where's the plan? Like, what's your plan, and what are you going to do? And if people aren't trained, like the frontline people for doctors and for healthcare and whoever answers that phone, if they don't know how to channel to the right people for the right resources, that person's not going to get help, and then they're going to get frustrated. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to do something that we don't want them to do. Now is the time to really think about how can you make a difference in the world? What can you do to make things better for someone else? How can you be kind? And if not kind, how can you be kinder? If you can't feed 100, feed one. Mother Teresa. That was Mother Teresa. And she was poor. But you know what? She helped. She gave. The more you give, the more you receive. It's called blessings. And I just hope that if anybody is out there that is listening to me, would take a few minutes to think about, why did she do this tonight? What is she, what does she have, an ulterior motive? Is she going to be signed to a movie? Actually, if I am signed to a movie, I'm thinking Demi Moore. Demi Moore would probably play me because she's looking better these days, so am I. And she's nice looking. And my friends like Leanne, I was just wondering what she would have, play for her, and Rebecca, my associate here. I mean, you can dream, right? Just kidding. LOL. The other thing I'd like to say is that I'd really like to have this opportunity to really get to know me a little bit better. I mean, I love life sometimes. In the morning, not so much. In the morning, I mean, I can tell you, ever since I got divorced in 2003, I wake up and I think, no, not today. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it today. Not today. Please, not today. And sometimes, as my friends would know, sometimes I stay in my bed for like 3 or 4 days, and I'm depressed. I mean, this situation didn't help anymore for anyone, but I get really depressed. So I go extremes, like I'm either right crazy or I'm right just no, not working. And I don't know how many people, some people not so much in the morning, some people maybe, other times of the day or whatever. For me, it's the morning since 2003. It's not good. And I'm trying to shift my mind to like a good place, wake up and thank Jesus for waking me up and giving me a roof over my head and food in my fridge, and giving me an opportunity to I don't need to prove anything to anybody or myself. I just want to give. I just want to give back. I just want to help people. I just want to change things. I'm an action person. If you're feeling that you want to help and do something that's going to be action oriented to make the change. I mean, Bell Lex talk about what? Talk about the fact that you fired me because I have mental illness? Do you want to talk about that? Chronicle Herald, talk about the fact that you knew you knew that I was in, my situation. That's all. But it's beautiful out today. It was like 30 degrees. It's supposed to be nice the next few days. And my dream was to find a home, find a backyard, get a barbecue and patio furniture, and sit out and just enjoy the vitamin D. And that's what I plan on doing for the next few days. I don't know what you guys plan on doing, but if you have any thoughts or questions, you want to, throw them up or whatever, that would be fine. I think my show's almost over. Did I talk that long? LOL. 59:18. So anyway, I'm offering this evening a free gift of love from my father, from my father's music. Like I said, he did a piano recital in 1972. It's classical music. Actually, it's funny because I'm in the audience. I'm 9 at the time, 9 years old, and 9 years old. I'm in the audience, and the lady in front, my father's playing away, right? The lady's in front. She goes, "Excuse me," as my mother gave me butterscotch. Lifesavers. Remember those butterscotch lifesavers? Anyway, so I'm eating the lifesavers, chatting away to my mom, and this lady goes, "Excuse me, I'm here to hear your father play. Can you be quiet?" It's like, no, not really, but I did. So that was an event. So getting back to what I was going to say, I as a gift to you for tuning in, and hope you'll tune in next week, is a digital copy of a piece of my father's music. I call it the secret manuscript. Now, remember, when I was homeless, I dragged this manuscript around with me. It actually was a reel-to-reel and a cassette with me. One time I came back to the shelter at Absent House, and they threw it out. They threw all my stuff out. I came home and they were all gone. I said, "Where are my things?" And they said, "Oh, we threw them out by mistake." I said, "What?" So all I could think of was my father's music rushing through my head: Beethoven, Brahms, Chopin, Mozart, gone. And then they found it the next day. So I was happy. But it's traveled, like I'm trying to say, it's traveled with me a lot. And he actually speaks. He's British, so he has a very dry sense of humor like me. And he said on the recording, I'm here to do the recital, and when I was in England, I had the manuscript, and I left it. I left it in England. So this concert this evening is going to be from memory. I'm going to play all the music from memory. 2.5 hours of classical music. The best. He was the best in the world. Right there. And I'm giving you, for thanking you for listening to me. I know you probably wanted to do something else, but I'm just kidding. No, thank you very much for listening to me. It means a lot. And it's been a rough year, but you know what? If it doesn't kill you, it'll make you stronger, and keep going and stay positive, and link up with people that are gonna lift your spiritual convictions, and lift you up, not tear you down. Just lift you up, not tear you down. And God bless to everybody. And just one more thing. A lot of people helped me along my way, but not as much as my friend Leanne Williams. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for being my spiritual mentor. Thank you for sending me scripture when I thought I didn't know where to turn. Thank you for listening to me, because I know sometimes I'm a pain in the ass. Thanks for listening to me, putting up with me, and caring. You are awesome. So much in.
Wow, wow, wow.
What do you mean?
And that was you. My daughter, my 12-year-old, is watching you. We're both here.
Oh,
And
hi.
her name's Eva.
Hi, Eva.
And
Hi.
and she goes through robot feelings. So where she thinks the whole world is tricking her, and she's the only
Oh,
one that
no.
the whole world is a robot.
Oh, no, that's hard. I don't understand it,
So she
Eva,
thinks
but
everyone.
yeah. Is she getting some help now, Rebecca?
Yeah, therapy starts once a week. So she gets to talk to somebody once a week from mental health. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
That's good news.
mommy is watching her like an eagle.
I bet.
Yeah.
Well, you need to right now. That's
So
okay.
we want to thank you. We want to thank you very much for